This session today will focus upon an experience I had when I was in 1969 traveling through Europe.
Okay.
Actually, it took me around the world.
Okay.
And I stopped in Amsterdam.
Very popular place.
Very popular place. And on September 27th, I visited the Anne Frank house.
Okay. I have never been there.
Interesting place.
I didn't know it was in Amsterdam.
Yeah, in the home of a local Dutch family.
I know the story.
That took her in and hid her. And the passageway to the upstairs attic room where she had was hidden by a bookcase that you'd move the bookcase and the stairway would be behind it. And they showed me and I went all the way upstairs.
Wow.
Yeah.
You went up the stairs.
I went up the stairs and they had pictures of her on the wall. What grabbed me first looked just like my daughter, Nancy.
Really?
My daughter, Nancy, in 20, would have been about 15 years old. And dark, shiny eyes. I used to call her Spitfire. And so it stirred up a lot of emotion in me as a father to have a daughter that young who would be taken by cruel people.
Yes.
And taken to a concentration camp and annihilation camp eventually, where she was killed. Among the pile of books and documents discovered by the government at the end of the war,
okay,
gathered at the Government Institute for War Documentation in Amsterdam. Among the piles was a comment made on this event, commenting on the life of this girl as reflected in her own diary. Romaine, Professor J. Romaine, wrote, I want to read it.
Okay.
He wrote April 3, 1946.
Okay.
The fact that it was possible that this girl had been taken away and killed has proved to me that we have lost the fight against the beast and man. And we have lost it because we have not put anything positive over against it. And that is why we shall lose again. In whatever shape the inhumanity may waylay us, when it appears that we as yet will not be able to put something positive over against it. Now that, I think, are very prophetic words.
That does not sound like somebody who is...
Well, the beast in man is being let loose again.
Yes.
And it's only one man, it's a whole generation. Lest we glibly reply, but the gospel of Christ is the answer to this man's search for something positive. As I instinctively did while reading his words, let me say something else about the house of Anne Frank. Upstairs, looking out of the window in her attic room where she stayed, as you look out of the kitchen window, you see 1 block down the street a huge Christian church. I wonder what comfort the pealing bells of that church ever gave to this family.
Wow.
And suppose that church had been ours. You see where I'm leading you? It came all to me at the time. Christianity, and I'm a Christian, has not done much to eliminate the kind of prejudice that unleashes the beast in us. It's happening again today. I'm very bothered by it, to the point where I almost despair. When a young man is taken and deported, found to have been innocent, and we refuse to bring him back. What kind of beast has been unleashed in us? The man is a father. He's a little boy in his arms, his wife. No sensitivity. I think today we are observing the beast in us being unleashed again. Let's talk about that. What does that do to you when you hear that?
It brings me back to who I used to be in my 20s.
Okay.
Wherein I was all go and all energy and all soldier. And I was out to prove that we were the best country and we had the best trained people and we had the best connections. And it was all about how great we were. And we would say stuff about God.
Did you?
But
were you there when the My Lai massacres took place? Do you know what I'm talking about? Oh, boy. Sergeant, what was his name? He engineered the massacre of a whole village. Hundreds of Vietnamese. He was tried when he came back and went through a slap on the wrist kind of trial.
Yeah.
He died just a year ago. The things we've done that we don't even remember. Okay.
It's very true. I mean, looking back how cavalier I was with even my life.
Yeah.
Just putting on a line for a rush.
Okay. Look up that My Lai massacres just to help you.
Okay.
M-Y and the L-A-I, My Lai massacres, it's called.
Well, there's been a few movies that have come out over the last 10 years that have echoed a similar.
Well, I was a pastor there when the young people did not want to be drafted because they did not believe in the war. Now, you went in with the ideal that we're kind of country.
Yeah, but I went in peacetime.
I know. Okay. And this ideal about being a country on a hill, being an example of democracy to the world, etc., was the ideal that was still capturing the imagination and the commitment of young men and women, like in your case.
There was a lot of good through that. I remember we talked, I think it was episode 2 or 3, I had mentioned this, that I used to wave as we're driving these big Army vehicles down these, small Korean roads. I used to wave at all the people. Yeah. And they told us to wave at everybody, like, hi. And we would wave all the time, and they would wave back, every one of them.
Yeah.
But not a lot of people did. And that's what I thought was a good thing, was letting people know that,
well, Americans,
like you said, the United Nations.
During the Second World War, they were our heroes. I remember when Americans first came and landed on a rest excursion on our town. We were a seaside town. We were so proud. We spoke English. They would tell us, we need this, we need that, help us.
Wow.
And one of them said, lead us to in the red light district. Where is it?
That sounds like us.
We knew where the district was, but we were too young at the time to do anything, but they scared us anyway. And the first dollar as a tip that I earned was as a result of that.
That's a great story.
But Americans could not do any wrong. In the Middle East, we were worshipped. We worshipped the ground they walked on.
I'm telling
you.
We weren't just people.
And
in those situations, we weren't just people.
And what's happened to us?
We represented it for some people, it's the only American they'd ever see their whole life.
Exactly. We had the missionaries who were ideal people, and they had flaws too, and we knew what they were. So it's interesting what's happened to America.
It's just, you see the looks on some of these missionaries' faces that are paraded in front of the congregation, and you see the look on their face like, I'm not perfect. We're just trying.
Well, it's not only that. They get all the money coming from America. Little was passed on to the locals. My brother, he lost faith in the church for a long time because he was so angry at the missionaries. My father, who is probably one of the best teachers they ever had, used to get a pittance compared to the salary that the missionary got.
Yeah.
And my brother used to get very angry because we used to listen to my mother saying, we don't have any food. Where are we going to be able to buy? And my dad used to go and empty out the envelope, so to speak, that had the pay and nothing left after maybe the fourth, fifth day of the month, and we have to live the rest of the month.
Wow.
And he used to go and draw money from next month's pay to
Yes. Yeah.
So things like this we remember are very painful. So the missionaries, they had the best house on the hill, literally, and so we knew their flaws, but they were great people. I owe much to my education to them. I don't apologize one bit. So it is then that America has gone through a cycle.
Okay.
And we're at the cycle now with the new measures being introduced for tariffs, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. We're getting isolated. We're self-isolating ourselves. We're losing the goodwill of the world. Doesn't seem to bother anybody. It bothers me.
Yeah, that's the thing I've noticed about these generations is they're not really the previous generation was so mentally just hypochondriac, so to speak.
Okay.
That I think to counteract it, they've become a little, they've become a little kind of, there's a wall between them and reality. But then again, they haven't learned the old lessons, and that's what the people prey on.
They're like the old fortress town. They've pulled in the bridge. Everybody's inside the walls and waiting. See, to the end.
So my mom watches the news 24 hours a day, and it's always on. TV's always on. It's always the news, and she is and it's affecting. It's rough. So I can understand why some people just want to deal with it. I'm a soldier. I can't stand dealing with politics. You can ask anybody I work with how good I am at politics, and they'll probably laugh at you. So the concept is here, and the explanation is there's a beast and a man. And man doesn't mean man. It could be woman too.
Yeah, mankind, humankind. Yeah, the beast and humans.
So
humans can be.
So people can be beasts. Do you want to be a beast, or do you want to be a man or a woman of God? And you evidently have a choice.
Yeah.
Dragging people out of their homes.
And we are worse than, my wife says, beasts don't do what we're doing to each other.
Yeah.
Wild animals don't do that.
Yeah, and we've been doing this to each other for a long time.
And where will it lead us? I don't know. I won't live much longer, but you guys will. And...
well, we'll see you there. We'll meet you there.
We'll meet me there. Where?
There. At the next garden.
Over there, over there.
Send the word.
West Husky Trail, and the caissons go rolling.
And the caissons will always go rolling along.
Rolling along.
Well, that's why we're here now, is hopefully that there are some people, some listeners out there that can pick up what we're putting down. And if we reach a couple people...
I hope so.
And it helps change their life. If a beast and man and the difference between the two is what changes their life, then it's what changes their life.
And be critical. Open your eyes, open your ears, listen to what's happening. People today are beginning to admire the very forces that created the destructive forces that took care of Anne Frank. They're beginning to admire those forces.
It's no one.
Countries
genocide is nothing to admire.
Country like Hungary, Viktor Orban is being idolized in America. Erdogan in Turkey, who's a dictator, who just jailed the man who's going to run against him in the next open election to make sure he wins. I don't want to go much farther than that, but there are other
I see the
leaders.
pattern.
Yeah, that's the pattern. Our idols today are the beasts.
Well, they need to not be the beasts.
Well, I raised my feeble voice and saying, God in us is maintaining the kind of sensitivity that would differentiate between the man and the beast, the human and the beast in the human.
And I've seen the beast in many people.
Yeah.
And the mark of the beast is something that
the mark of the beast
oh boy. Yeah, it's pressed as a free CD or free information.
And the mark of the beast, the 666, was a cryptic way of describing Nero, the Emperor Nero.
Yes.
And I won't get into how it is that the letters correspond to 666. And I don't know. We have Neros today who are fiddling while the country is burning.
Well, I'm a big fan of balance. It is what I aspire for, and I hope overtakes us as well. You never know.
I hope so, and pray that they're not going to play around with voting machines that will not deliver what they don't want to deliver. We're doing that now too.
Maybe not all weeds are beautiful.
Well, weeds. Okay. So much for
Some are
today.
poisonous.
Yeah.
That's a cross episode. You have to watch all the podcast. Yeah. All right. And that'll do it for this episode. Beast and Man, Pastor Kass, always a pleasure.
And thank you.
Thank you for sharing your word with us. And please leave a comment if you would like to.
Okay.
Have a good one.